it's Alex here. Welcome to my channel. We're here as ever to talk about sewing. As you can see, I have relocated a little bit this time. Got family downstairs all making a racket, so it seemed to make sense to hide up here. I'm planning to talk about the Great Module Sewalong, and I've spent a little bit of time this week thinking about that and making plans. I have done a little bit of sewing this week, but nothing I can show you because I've been doing some pattern testing. So as soon as that pattern is released, I'll be able to talk about that. And I've also been making a t-shirt that I struggle a little bit with. It's a Seamwork one with a V-neck, and I really struggled to get that V looking really good. So I had a little look on YouTube, and there was a great tutorial that talked about using washable bias tape. So I ordered some of that, and that has now arrived, but I haven't got around to doing that. But yeah, mostly I have been thinking about this Great Module Sewalong. So if you don't know about it, it's a sewing challenge that's been brought to us from Carla, who is Stay Stitching here on YouTube, and Whitney, who is TomKatStitchery. And I was introduced to it by somebody leaving me a comment and mentioning it when I was talking about my thoughts about sewing a more coordinated wardrobe for this year. So if you don't know about the module concept, you probably are better off going and having a look at Whitney's vlog. I'll link it below. But to summarise, the idea is that you sew a mini capsule wardrobe which consists of 2 bottoms, 3 tops and a topper, which is basically a piece of outerwear or maybe a cardigan. And they can all be worn together so that, yeah, you've got a mini capsule wardrobe. I struggled a little bit with just that number of items. I wanted to add more and more and more. So I think if time allows, I will probably do 2 modules. But I've got first module kind of buttoned down now, finally. So my personal kind of criteria were to obviously take into account the fact that we're about to go into spring, which seemed a little bit odd, seeing as it's still freezing cold and very much winter at the moment. But also to think about colours, because I mentioned that I had my colours done in the last year, and unsurprisingly I was diagnosed as an autumn, which, you know, that wasn't hard to work out, really, was it? But that kind of colour palette doesn't lend itself to what we traditionally think of as spring summer colours, because traditionally we tend to kind of go down a more pastel route and go kind of lighter and floatier in fabrics and all the rest of it. And I've never been somebody that really subscribes to the idea that you have to discard all your darker coloured clothes in spring and summer. It's not a rule that I kind of necessarily agree with, and those kind of colours don't always look good on me. I tend to look a bit washed out. So yeah, I spent a bit of time thinking about what colours I wanted to wear, and I also didn't want to be limited by too few colours, and do the sort of very traditional capsule wardrobe thing of sticking to sort of things like grey and navy, although I've got navy. So let me show you where I've ended up. I'm going to start with the 2 bottoms, and in my case I've chosen trousers for both of them. The first pair of trousers I wanted to make is a pair of chino style women's straight leg trousers that I would make full length but potentially roll up to be a kind of 7/8 length, and I'll probably try and make sure I've got a bit of room around the ankle, because I don't have the most shapely ankles in the world. So I find that if I have a little bit of tiny bit of flare around there, it helps them not look quite so cankly. And I was really spoilt for choice with patterns that I could have used on this one, because I started off looking at patterns I already had, and there were about 4 or 5 different patterns from Stellan that would have worked really well, except for the fact that a lot of them were for stretch woven, and the fabric I've chosen is just standard woven. So there was the Airlie trousers and Luna trousers from Style Art. They were both great, but stretch woven. Sadie trousers from Style Art were also really good in a standard woven, but they're the style where your waistband is partly made of a wide elastic that is, you know, kind of decorative, that goes sort of like from the sides at the front going round to the back. And whilst I think they would be really comfortable and they'd be great, I wanted a pair of trousers that I could tuck my top into, and I know that that wide elastic 9 times out of 10 folds over as you wear it, and I just didn't think it would look great. So I dismissed all of those, and then I went and had a look at, considered the Sasha trousers from Closet Case Patterns, and I probably would have gone with those if not for the fact that I already owned a pair of pattern from Seamwork, and they are the Melody trousers, and they look absolutely what I need. I found what looks to be the exact fabric that I had in mind for this, which I've ordered from Fabworks, and it's a kind of mid-brown, darker than a tan, I guess, chino. I think it might be called Gabardine or chino fabric. I ordered it yesterday, so it hasn't arrived yet. But that's the exact colour that I wanted, because that will work really well with all the tops that I've got planned. So that's going to be my first pair of trousers. Never made this pattern before, so we'll see how it goes. So that's trousers, or bottom, number 1. Then I wanted to make a pair of wide leg trousers. I've wanted to make a pair for a little while. Actually, maybe not wide leg, maybe more like a kind of kick flare, because I want them to be fitted in the waist and over the thighs, and then to flare out. And I saw this pattern for Birkin flares from Paperdhal, and I really love these. Absolutely adore this pattern, and I'm absolutely determined to make it at some point. However, it's designed for denim, it doesn't mention stretch anywhere, and I have already got the fabric that I want to make them in, and it has got stretch. It's stretch Bengaline. So that is kind of on the back burner, that pattern. And what I have settled on is the Jasmine trousers from Style Art, and these are designed for a stretch woven. I think I might have to just make the top part around the thigh up to the knee. I might have to taper that in a little bit to give me a very similar silhouette to the Birkin flares. I'm planning to make them from this stretch Bengaline that I bought from the Fabric Edit, and it's in this very subtle shade of, I guess, a rusty orange. I'd say it's slightly darker than it's coming out on the camera here. So yeah, ordered this from the Fabric Edit, which is run by Jay, the Camden Stitch, who we are all missing at the moment from social media. So I'm hoping that I'm sure she'll be back soon, but she's taking a bit of time out at the moment. But yeah, really love this fabric. I've been dying to use it ever since I bought it a couple of months ago. And it has got a little bit of stretch in it, so I think it will work really well with that pattern. And obviously it's a pretty vibrant colour, but I really like it, and yeah, I can see myself swooshing around in a pair of flary trousers. So those are my 2 bottoms. So basically one with a flare or a wider leg, and one with a more tapered leg. And then top wise, I wanted to make a shirt for the summer that was a less formal shirt, more kind of open neck, not the sort with a collar and a collar stand like this. I'll tell you what this is in a minute. More a kind of open collar. I think it's called a camp collar, but I may have made that up. Anyway, I saw this pattern from a company called Workshop. They have a sewing cafe over in Leeds, and they run classes, and they're just around the corner from where my daughter lives, my oldest daughter. So I keep meaning to tie in a visit to her with one of their classes, because they look really good. But they also do a small range of their own sewing patterns, and I will keep being attracted to the Gemma shirt. I have decided not to make it, but it's still on my list. And the only reason I didn't go with it is because I can tell that I'm going to have to adjust the dart on it. It seems, the bust dart, it seems like the apex of it is kind of like very high up about here, and I know that the apex of my bust isn't that high. So I would have been more than happy to jiggle around with it if I hadn't found something that I felt was a good alternative. And that is what I've settled on, and yet again it's a style arc pattern, and it's the Monty shirt. And the thing with style arc patterns is I know that they always fit me really well. Whoever they're drafted for is obviously a similar shape to me, or maybe they're just brilliantly drafted. But I know that with style arc patterns, 9 times out of 10 they fit me straight out of the packet. Whereas the workshop one is a bit more of an unknown, and I've chosen some really special fabric for this, so I wanted to be sure that I was going to get a good fit. And the other advantage to the Monty shirt is that it also comes as a shirt dress, so you're kind of getting 2 for 1. I don't think I'm going to make it with the pockets that are on it. I think I'll just eliminate those. But my plan is to make it out of this pretty fabulous silk that Dave bought on one of his trips to China. I think we worked out that it cost about £5 a metre. I mean, can you imagine? So it's absolutely gorgeous washed silk, and in this kind of sandy colour, which I think will work well with that orange for my wide leg trousers, and also for the darker or mid brown colour for the chinos. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know that that's going to be a bit of a pain to work. I mean, it feels lovely, but it's going to slip around a lot. So yeah, that should be interesting. I think I may add a little bit to the length, because both those shirts, the Gemma and the, what's it called, Monty, are cropped, and I'm quite long in the body, so I still want that cropped look-ish, but not too cropped. So I'm going to have a bit of a fiddle around with the length on it. But yeah, so that's my plan for that one. Top number 2 is going to be made from, I mentioned that this was on its way to me. I bought this at the Manchester Sewing Bee from the ladies from Lulou Designs, and they'd run out of it on the day, so it has subsequently arrived, and that is this crepe fabric, but it's really nice. It's going to be great to work with because it's not anything like as slippery as that silk. It's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a kind of dark green, but obviously you've got the pink and leopard there, and again I think that will work well with the Bengaline and the tan chinos. And I didn't want to make a button-up shirt out of this because I've actually got 2 button-up shirts already. And I thought what I would make with this is the shirt version or the blouse version of the Wishing Girl dress that I made for the Sewing Bee. I know that pattern well now. I don't need to worry about the fact that the instructions are only in French because I've made it once. I know what I'm doing with it, and I know I really like it, and I will probably do pretty much the same version I did previously, but just as a shirt rather than a dress. And top number 3 is actually really tops 3 and 4 because I'm going to make 2, and that is basically a fairly standard round neck jersey t-shirt. My favourite t-shirt pattern, and I have tried a few, is actually a free one. So it's the Stellan t-shirt, and I think it's from French Navy. I think that's what they're called. Anyway, there'll be a link. I really like the shape of this t-shirt. I've just found it to be the best in terms of flattering fit, and it's free, so that's always a bonus. I've made a few in the past out of pretty sort of cheap and cheerful jersey, and not making that mistake again because they don't last and it's just all a bit pointless. So I'm going to get some more of the Harper jersey from Lulou Designs because I've really enjoyed working with that in the last week with the V-neck top. They've got an off-white and a navy, and that's what I want, so I haven't ordered that yet. When I get round to that, that's what I'm going to do, just make 2 of those, plain and simple, and that will go with everything. And then I can also wear those under my Kalle shirt if I want to wear that unbuttoned. And the Kalle shirt is actually my topper, so it's a bit of a cheat. I was tempted to make a floaty trench coat. I've seen Simplicity 8554 that may go on to module number 2, which is a lightweight trench, unlined, kind of floaty type thing. But I've decided instead of that, I'm going to make a Kalle shirt dress, and that way it can double up as a number of things. It's going to be knee length, so a little bit longer than the pattern. So I can wear it buttoned up as a dress. I can wear it unbuttoned over my trousers, so it becomes more like a jacket. I am going for the sleeved option. And I can also wear it buttoned up over the trousers and do the dress over trousers thing that I really loved wearing in this sort of early 2000s and is coming back. So I've kind of cheated because it's a shirt dress, not strictly speaking a cardigan or outerwear, but I'm really happy with it and I'm really excited by my plans for it. In fact, I have started it. So I'm making it, I showed you the tencel that I bought at Manchester Sewing Bee from the ladies at Lulou Designs, which is this here, and I got it in the cider and then I ordered it in the sand, which has now come, and I'm using the concealed placket version, and I'm basically using the sand as a contrast to the cider. So it's going to have concealed placket has been constructed. It's going to look like that on the right side, and at the moment it's looking like this. But yeah, so that is going to be contrasted over the main body of the shirt dress, like that. And then the collars and the cuffs are going to be in the sand, and so is the back, but the yoke at the back is going to be in the cider. So basically it's a bit of contrast, and I'm really excited about this. I love the colour. I absolutely adore this fabric, and it is at the more expensive end, but you know, every fashion blog you look at, everything about kind of I don't know, women's magazines, articles about style talk about mixing up high street with designer or high end with lower end, and who's to say we can't do the same with fabric? You know, I've got my silk, which although it didn't cost us very much is obviously a sort of higher end fabric, and then I've got, you know, fairly standard jersey. I think it's £7 a metre, that jersey, so that's not particularly expensive. And then I've got, you know, the Bengaline from Jay, which I can't remember what that was, but I know it wouldn't have been very much. And then I've got this, which was definitely more expensive. That's £10 for half a metre. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mix. I'm really excited. I think they're all going to work really well. I can see myself wearing this over the chinos in that kind of dark tan or mid-brown colour. The only thing I'm not convinced about is whether this Kalle shirt dress will work over this as wide leg jeans, but that remains to be seen. And that just gives me an excuse to make a pair of the Birkin flares in denim, doesn't it, for my next module. So I'm really pleased with where I've got to with it. I love my colour combinations, so I just feel that it all works really well together. Also, when I get that chino fabric, because that's going to be a similar brown to these leopards, and with that silk and the tencel, I just think it will work really well. I'm really happy with that. I'm desperate to get on and start sewing it so that I can try and squeeze in another module. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Please let me know what you think. I'd be really interested to know, and I'm really enjoying watching what other people are making. It's a really good idea, so thank you very much to Whitney and to Carla for coming up with this concept. I'll be back soon. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be notified when there are any other videos, and I will see you soon. Bye.